Hi guys, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today I'm sharing with you my very honest guide to the things that I wish I'd known when I just started my fitness journey. This is all of my best advice that'll actually help you achieve the goals that you want. So let's get into it. So to start with, one of the best tips that I've been given that changed everything when I implemented was consistency over perfection. So on my podcast, I have had so many different fitness experts come on, and the thing that all of them have said over and over again is that the people they see who've had the biggest transformation and results in their fitness journey are people who've prioritized doing it consistently over perfectly. So what I mean by this is a lot of the times we have this mental block where we're like, oh, I don't have an hour to work out, sucks. Okay, I guess I'll just do it tomorrow. Don't do that. Instead, even if you can get in like a 10 to 15 minute workout, just do that and do that consistently, because that's what builds the habit. And over time, you'll see that the cumulative 10 to 15 minutes actually adds up to you getting fitter over time. Also, over time, you will start to crave the more frequent and longer workouts as well, because fact of the matter is that once you build a habit around fitness, you start to see not just the impact that it has on your body, but on your mental health as well. And then you start to crave it because it becomes a part of your routine, and it becomes a way for you to kind of cope with the inconsistencies and chaos of life in general, whether that is a really hard job, or maybe you're in school, or you have kids, or whatever it is. Your workouts are essentially some time for you to take out time for yourself and prioritize your body and your mental health. So the next big tip that made the biggest difference for me was strength training. This changed everything for me. So I think a misconception that a lot of women have is if they lift weights, and I don't mean just like actually like lift heavy weights, but do things like push-ups or rows or whatever it is, like go to the gym, essentially you'll start to look bulky. Honestly, this couldn't be further from the truth. Fact is, building muscle is incredibly good for us when it comes to everything from longevity to just how our body looks and feels. When we build muscles, we're burning more calories at rest. We're just stronger on a day-to-day basis. Your body will look much more lean and sculpted when you're able to build muscle. And so strength training for me was a real game changer. So for me personally, I like to strength train 3 times a week, and then I combine that with once a week Pilates, and on most weeks I also do 1 day of cardio. Again, this doesn't need to be something that is particularly long or complex on days that you can't. Like, there have been days where all I have is 30 minutes to go to the gym and lift weights, and that's all I can do. And even that is better than not showing up at all. Brings us back to tip 1. But strength training is so important for women. If you are someone who believes that you will get bulky or, not look feminine, that's very far from the truth. So don't be scared. The other thing is, if you are looking for a good resource as to like how to get started with strength training, a couple of good resources is Form. That is my 2 friends, Sammy, this is 2 Sammys basically. They started it together, and it's essentially, they have a lot of really good dumbbell work that you can follow along with. And then also they have a gym series as well. So that way, if you are going to the gym and you don't know what to do, you can follow along on that guide. The other excellent resource that I found very helpful was, it's called Booty by Brett, and it's a program by Brett Contreras. It switches every 30 days, and it is the most in-depth kind of workouts at the gym. So if you are confused as to how to use the machines, or even what lifts are good or bad for you, that will give you the most detailed breakdown that you can kind of find. So I love both of those resources, and honestly, I couldn't recommend strength training more. I absolutely love it. Also, this will enhance your results, I'm telling you guys. So this is Tone. It has creatine in it, plus a probiotic there for body composition, and ginger in there for helping with digestion as well. I love these gummies. They feel like a treat every single day. And creatine just helps you with how you perform at the gym. It helps you with recovery. It helps you build more muscle. Highly recommend you kind of add this into your routine alongside your workouts. Next thing is that there is this misconception that you are going to feel motivated every single day. We're not going to feel motivated. Motivation is such a fleeting thing that comes and goes, and so we can't really rely on that in order to hit goals. Instead, what you need is really good systems. So when it comes to workouts, what I like to do is I add it to my calendar the same way that I do with my meetings or my appointments. It really is a promise that I make to myself. And so when I have it carved out in my calendar, I know I can't miss it. And this is everything from an in-person class or a meeting with my trainer, or even if I'm planning on streaming a Pilates workout, I will still put that into my calendar, because that way I know exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. And that way there's no excuses. So make sure you have systems in place, because that's what'll get you through the days that you have no motivation, which is, by the way, spoiler alert, gonna be most days. The next tip I have is that nutrition matters way more than you think. And, you know, I think we need to start regarding nutrition as nourishment for our bodies, and it's the fuel that helps us to keep going and show up as our best selves. So I'm very 80-20 when it comes to my nutrition. I like my food to taste really good no matter what I'm eating. And so in terms of kind of my overarching framework, it's quite simple. I like to prioritize protein. So I do about 100 to 130 grams of protein per day. I have calculated that based on my goal weight and all of these things. You can look this up. Anyone has access to this. You can go even listen to my podcast. I have a really good episode with Kelly Levesque where we talk in depth about protein intake. So highly recommend that. So I prioritize protein. I make sure that I'm eating 3 square meals a day. You guys, I can't explain what a big difference this made in my life. As soon as I started to eat 3 big square meals a day versus snack throughout the day, I felt like my energy levels were way more stable, and I was able to work out much harder at the gym. My attention span was longer. It just had an overall like massively positive impact on my life. So I would say, yeah, the protein thing, 3 big meals, and then of course, fiber with every meal, healthy fats with every meal. And when you do that, you're just like nourished and full and just vibrant all the time. I also found that increasing my protein intake really helped with my hair. I find that my hair looks better than ever. My skin looks really good, and that is kind of a side effect of having a high protein diet. It's really good for you. And then if you are someone who struggles with cravings, I recommend MB1. So the ingredients in this are designed to help you with things like snacking and cravings. And I have been using it on and off since we started formulating it, which is over a year ago. And I'm obsessed with it. And this is like one of those things that I truly can't live without. So highly, highly recommend this if you are someone who struggles with cravings and things like that. And for me, I find that I'm absolutely not going to deprive myself of the things that I really love. So for example, I like a sweet treat at night, but I've learned to modify it based on kind of what's good for me. So really easy post-dinner sweet treat is dates with some nut butter, and I like to have that with tea. I also love the Hu chocolates, Hu Kitchen, Hu Kitchen, and it's just much better for you than, you know, any other chocolate like Kit Kat or something like that. So that is my tip around nutrition as a whole. So next up is sleep. Now, sleep is a secret weapon. And I remember a couple of years ago, I went to my doctor and I was like, I was just like not feeling like the best optimized version of myself, even though I was really prioritizing nutrition and working out regularly. And he was like, what does your sleep look like? And I was very embarrassed to admit that my sleep had kind of been all over the place. And so what he told me, which I will pass on to you, is that sleep is like a basic building block. It helps you recover. It helps you just rest, as we all know. And if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to be reaching for the wrong foods. You're going to be, you know, more irritable the next day, less energy. It just disrupts how you're supposed to function. And so if you don't yet have a sleep kind of schedule and you don't have that on lock, that's really important. The easiest way to start here is establish a bedtime and stick to that bedtime. I found that this was completely transformative in terms of how I sleep. So I have the same bedtime every night. I like it's lights out, head on the pillow by 10:30 p.m. And having that regulated kind of schedule has helped me so much. And then in terms of supplementation, I've talked about this before, but I love our magnesium capsules because it really does help with getting high quality deep sleep. It helps with recovery as well, like muscle recovery. And so magnesium in general is just incredible for sleep. So the next thing is that you aren't going to see results overnight. And this should obviously be like a duh thing that I'm saying. Most of you already know. It's not like, you start going to the gym one day and the next day you are your fittest self. But you start to see results accumulating over time. And so I remember when I graduated from college, or like right when I was about to graduate, like about 3-4 months before graduating, I was in the worst shape of my life, okay? I had terrible eating habits. I was barely moving. It was terrible. And I had gained like 30 pounds. It was really bad. And I felt terrible. That was the thing. Like, it wasn't even about how I looked. I just felt so low energy, just bad. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna change the way that I'm doing things. Obviously, this took time, and I was tracking how I was feeling over a day-to-day basis. So not just how I looked, but how I felt. So I started to notice that my energy levels were better, that every day that I continued to commit to how I was eating, how consistently I was working out, it was almost energizing me, and I was getting better on a day-to-day basis. And so I started to look after those things. So on a day-to-day basis, those were the things that were shifting. And then over time, I was also taking progress pictures as well versus weighing myself. And I found that, when I looked back 3 months later, I was like night and day. I looked like a different person. My skin was better. I just looked healthier. Obviously, like, my body was much more toned and sculpted, but it was because of that consistency that I stuck to it versus, doing it for a week or a few days and then being like, oh, like, I guess I'll take a break or whatever. It was something that I had decided I was going to commit to. So give yourself time. You're not going to see results overnight, but you will in terms of how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. The last thing I will say is that you definitely do not need to be doing this alone. So whether it is having a friend who is kind of coming to the same workouts with you, or you guys are doing a workout plan together, or kind of doing it with a partner, or finding a community online or a coach or whatever, I feel like doing it with other people is so much fun. And it doesn't even have to be, taking a friend with you. What I really like as well is finding other like-minded people who are consistently going to the same workout classes as me. I remember that used to be something that was so motivating because I would just know familiar people at these classes that I was going to at the very same time. So even that feels like a community thing because it's not just you doing it alone. So, if you are doing, for example, like committing to doing like a Pilates challenge, I love that idea because a lot of like online Pilates instructors have these challenges that they do, and there's a whole community behind it. My friend Bryony from Pilates by Bryony does a fantastic job. I think her challenge, she just did one called Hot Cross Core, I think. And I love that there was such a big community around it. So whatever it is, find your favorite app that has a good community around it typically, or maybe it's an in-person thing. Maybe it's you and your best friend who are holding each other accountable. Point is, this can be like a really fun social community effort as well. So whether you have been on this fitness journey for a while or you're just new and looking for some motivation, I hope that these tips have been helpful to you. And remember, fitness isn't about perfection, it's about showing up for yourself. So if this video helped, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe, and in the comments, tell me which tip you needed to hear the most. See you at the next one.